What? What was that? Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Conk's Corner with a brand new animation and music. What? I'm happy to be back. So you just saw, for everybody just tuning in for the first time, I'm reading Harry Potter every single day for an hour. I've been doing that for a while. Just doing it for the fun of it. And this animation that you just saw is a completely new thing. I'll show it again here in a second, okay? But I wanted to let you know that that was Ceci. Ceci, she sometimes comes onto the chat. Sometimes she's there. Friend of mine, she made this animation for me. Isn't that mind-blowingly good? It's mind-blowingly good. Give a big shout out to Ceci and Jordan Clausen and Nathan, who's in the chat. They did the music in the background. I put the sound effects on there. Let's take a look at it again, hey? It's so cool. It's so cool. I feel super lucky. I'm gonna put Dexter. This is Dexter, by the way. Mark's not here today. He is camping, I think. Okay, we are back. We are back to keep on reading. I took for those of you who are asking on YouTube, where is he? You're not being consistent. I took a mental health break. I needed that. I took it. I have a good support group. I'm good. I'm okay. It was really good for me. Went camping for my birthday. So I'm back. At the end of the stream, I'll chat a little more about it. But I'm sure we all want to get into the reading. But I hope you all had a great time over the weekend, whatever you were doing. Today is Dan Spence's birthday. He was sometimes on the chat. Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you, to you, to you. That's your song, Dan. Okay, everybody, we are reading Harry Potter every single day. We are now currently, this is getting a little too fancy for me. Oh, toilet time for Dan. When you gotta go, it's toilet time, it's toilet time. Every single day. Okay. So where did we end last time? We ended, oh yeah, they're going back to school after Christmas, after visiting Mr. Weasley in the hospital. It was Christmas time, they're going back. They were told that, that Harry is having private lessons with Snape. Private Snape lessons. Here we go, Dragon Dexter pin. Oh yeah, why not? That'd be fun. I'm gonna draw this on so we can start. Oh, and I forgot one thing. Lovely Sherry Geller sent me this for my birthday. Check it out. The Harry Potter character compendium. She told me not to read it yet, only when the books are over, because there's spoilers, but it basically has just descriptions. Let me go back a bit. Descriptions of different characters, histories. I didn't know there were so many characters in this book. This book is crazy big. Yeah, super excited to check this out afterwards. And she also sent me the Marauders map, a bigger version, a huge version, a prop-sized version. So this is the size they actually used it. In the movie. That's how big it was. So thank you so much, Sherry. You were wicked awesome. Look at all this stuff everybody's given me. Those Dobby and Hagrid back there. I got this wand from Alicia, this candle that I've almost already burnt through. It's delicious. It's Hagrid's hut. Man, I'm lucky. Thank you so much, everybody. It's so great. I'm very happy. All right. Let's get going, shall we? Let's get going back to where we started. You let me know if the music's too loud. I played around with some things. Let me know if it's good volume or not. Now you need your own copy of the books. That's very true. Okay. There's 6 of them. Where's Dexter? Oh, Dexter's back there. He might come back. But right now he's back there. Okay, we're getting back to reading. Harry spent most of the next day dreading the evening. His morning double potions lessons did nothing to dispel his trepidation, as Snape was as unpleasant as ever. His mood was further lowered by the DA members constantly approaching him in the corridors between classes, asking hopefully if there would be a meeting that night. "I'll let you know in the usual way when the next one is," Harry said over and over again. "But I can't do tonight. I've got to go to, remedial potions." "You take remedial potions?" asked Zacharias Smith, superciliously, I think it's that way, having cornered Harry in the entrance hall after lunch. "Good Lord, you must be terrible. Snape doesn't usually give extra lessons, does he?" As Smith strode away in an annoyingly buoyant fashion, Ron glared after him. "Shall I jinx him? I can still get him from here," he said, raising his wand and taking aim between Smith's shoulder blades. "Forget it," said Harry dismally. "It's what everyone's going to think, isn't it? That I'm really "Hi, Harry," said a voice behind him. He turned around and found Cho standing there. "Cho." No, I put the scar on it. Maybe it just wasn't that strong. Maybe I should retrace the scar. Oh man, I'm gonna draw over it, aren't I? It's just a weak color, I guess. Oh well. Oh well. Cho is there. Cho. Oh, we gotta change this music, shan't we? That might be a bit loud. I'm gonna turn this down a tiny little bit. Every single time Cho appears. "Oh," said Harry as his stomach leapt uncomfortably. "Hi." "We'll be in the library, Harry," said Hermione firmly as she seized Ron above the elbow and dragged him off towards the marble staircase. "Had a good Christmas?" asked Cho. "Yeah, not bad," said Harry. "Mine was pretty quiet," said Cho. For some reason, she was looking rather embarrassed. There's another Hogsmeade trip next month. Did you see the notice?" "What? Oh, no, I haven't checked the notice board since I got back." "Yes, it's on Valentine's Day." "Right," said Harry, wondering why she was telling him this. "Well, I suppose you want to—" "Only if you do," she said eagerly. Harry stared. He had been about to say, "I suppose you want to know when the next DA meeting is," but her response did not seem to fit. It's pretty loud still for me, sorry. There we go, that's much better. He said. "Oh, it's okay if you don't," she said, looking mortified. "Don't worry, I'll see you around." She walked away. Harry stood staring after her, his brain working frantically. Then something clunked into place. "Cho! Hey, Cho!" He ran after her, catching her halfway up the marble staircase. Yeah, I turned under the music a bit. It was a bit too loud. If it's still too loud, let me know. Catching her. Do you want to come into Hogsmeade with me on Valentine's Day?" "Oh, yes," she said, blushing crimson and beaming at him. "Right. Well, that's settled then," said Harry, and feeling that the day was not going to be a complete loss after all, he virtually bounced off to the library to pick up Ron and Hermione before their afternoon lessons. "Oh, romance is in the air. Oh, what shall happen to these two? Only time will tell." By 6 o'clock that evening, however, even the glow of having successfully asked out Cho Chang could not lighten the ominous feelings that intensified with every step Harry took towards Snape's office. First date on Valentine's Day, oh dear. Yes, indeed. That's a big move, Harry. That's a big, big move. Oh, here he is. 1 second. I'll get Dexter so I can put him in there. Hey, buddy. Come here. Come here, buddy. Hey. Oh. Get in there. Get in there. Oh no, the camera got tipped over. There we go. All right. He paused outside the door when he reached it, wishing he were almost anywhere else. Then, taking a deep breath, he knocked and entered. Ooh, this is more darker room, probably. The shadowy room. How did I know this? The shadowy room was lined with shelves bearing hundreds of glass jars, in which slimy bits of animals and plants were suspended in variously colored potions. In one corner stood the cupboard, full of ingredients that Snape had once accused Harry, not without reason, of robbing. Harry's attention was drawn towards the desk. However, where a shallow stone basin engraved with runes and symbols lay in a pool of candlelight. Harry recognized it at once. It was Dumbledore's pensieve. Wondering what on earth it was doing there, he jumped when Snape's cold voice came out of the shadows. Pants are an illusion. Out of context for me. Shut the door behind you, Potter. Harry did as he was told, with a horrible feeling that he was imprisoning himself. When he turned back into the room, Snape had moved into the light and was pointing silently at the chair opposite his desk. Harry sat down, and so did Snape, his cold black eyes fixed unblinkingly upon Harry, dislike etched in every line of his face. Thank you, Julia Giesbrecht. Thank you very much.
Well, Potter, you know why you are here, he said. The headmaster has asked me to teach you occlumency. I can only hope that you prove more adept at it than potions.
Right, said Harry tersely.
This may not be an ordinary class, Potter,
said Snape, his eyes narrowed malevolently.
But I am still your teacher, and you will therefore call me Sir or Professor at all times.
Yes, sir, said Harry. Snape continued to survey him through narrowed eyes for a moment, then said,
Now, occlumency, as I told you back in your dear godfather's kitchen, this branch of magic seals the mind against magical intrusion and influence.
And why does Professor Dumbledore think I need it, sir? Said Harry, looking directly into Snape's eyes and wondering whether Snape would answer. Snape looked back at him for a moment and then said contemptuously,
Surely even you could have worked out that by now, Potter. The Dark Lord is highly skilled at legilimency.
Legilimency? I don't know what that means. If somebody could tell me how to pronounce that and what it means, please write it into the chat. What's that, sir? Okay, he's going to explain it now.
It is the ability to extract feelings and memories from another person's mind.
He can read minds? Said Harry quickly, his worst fears confirmed.
You have no subtlety, Potter,
said Snape, his dark eyes glittering.
You do not understand fine distinctions. It is one of the shortcomings that makes you such a lamentable potion maker.
Snape paused for a moment, apparently to savor the pleasure of insulting Harry, before continuing. Legilimency. Okay, thank you very much.
Only muggles talk of mind reading. The mind is not a book to be opened at will and examined at leisure. Thoughts are not etched on the inside of skulls to be perused by any invader. The mind is a complex and many-layered thing, Potter. Or at least, most minds are.
He smirked.
It is true, however, that those who have mastered legilimency that those who have mastered
even he can't pronounce it. Okay.
It is true, however, that those who have mastered legilimency are able, under certain conditions, to delve into the minds of their victims and to interpret their findings correctly. The Dark Lord, for instance, almost always knows when somebody is lying to him. Only those skilled at occlumency are able to shut those feelings and memories that contract the lie, and so can utter falsehoods in his presence without detention.
Whatever Snape said, legilimency sounded like mind reading to Harry, and he didn't like the sound of it at all. This is exactly right.
Legilimency.
I didn't like it. So he could know what we're thinking right now, sir?
The Dark Lord is at a considerable distance, and the walls and grounds of Hogwarts are guarded by many ancient spells and charms to ensure the bodily and mental safety of those who dwell within them,
said Snape.
Time and space matter in magic, Potter. Eye contact is often essential to legilimency.
Nailing it. I'm nailing it. Well, then, why do I have to learn occlumency? Snape eyed Harry, tracing his mouth with one long, thin finger as he did so.
Potter.
He's so gross. Zoomed in on it.
The usual rules do not seem to apply with you, Potter. The curse that failed to kill you seems to have forged some kind of connection between you and the Dark Lord. The evidence suggests that at times, when your mind is most relaxed and vulnerable, when you are asleep, for instance, you are sharing the Dark Lord's thoughts and emotions. The headmaster thinks it inadvisable for this to continue. He wishes me to teach you how to close your mind to the Dark Lord.
I nailed a premonition! I nailed a premonition! Told you they were linked by their feelings and all that. I told you! I told you! I told you! You'd make a good Snape. Disturbed. Who could be afraid of Snape after seeing that? Music maybe one titch too much? One titch too much? Okay, thanks. I will turn it down a little. There we go. Oh! Where were we? Harry's heart was pumping fast again. None of this added up. But why does Professor Dumbledore want to stop it? He asked abruptly. I don't like it much, but it's been useful, hasn't it? I mean, I saw that snake attack Mr. Weasley, and if I hadn't, Professor Dumbledore wouldn't have been able to save him. Would he, sir? Snape stared at Harry for a few moments, still tracing his mouth with his finger. Snape stared at Harry for a few moments, tracing his fingers around his mouth. When he spoke again, it was slowly and deliberately, as though he weighed every word.
It appears that the Dark Lord has been unaware of the connection between you and himself until very recently. Up till now, it seems that you have been experiencing his emotions and sharing his thoughts without his being any the wiser. However, the vision you had shortly before Christmas,
the one with Snake, and with a snake and Mr. Weasley.
Do not interrupt me, Potter,
said Snape in a dangerous voice.
As I was saying, the vision you had shortly before Christmas represented such a powerful incursion upon the Dark Lord's thoughts.
I saw inside the snake's head, not his.
I thought I just told you not to interrupt me, Potter!
But Harry did not care if Snape was angry. At least he seemed to be getting to the bottom of this business. He had moved forwards in his chair so that, without realizing it, he was perched on the very edge, tensed as though poised for flight. How come I saw through the snake's eyes if it's Voldemort's thoughts I'm sharing? Just putting on different music for a second here. There we go. Yeah, that's my mating signal. Okay. How come I saw through the snake's eyes? If it was Voldemort's thoughts I'm sharing.
Do not say the Dark Lord's name!
Spat Snape. I don't know if that's how he shouts, but that's how he's going to shout. There was a nasty silence. They glared at each other across the Pensieve. Professor Dumbledore says his name, said Harry quietly.
Dumbledore is an extremely powerful wizard, Snape muttered, while he may feel secure enough to use the name. The rest of us...
He rubbed his left forearm, apparently unconsciously, on the spot where Harry knew the Dark Lord, a dark mark was burned into his skin. Sorry. I just wanted to know, Harry began again, forcing his voice back to politeness. Why?
You seem to have visited the snake's mind because that was where the Dark Lord was at that particular moment, snarled Snape. He was possessing the snake at the time, and so you dreamed you were inside it too.
And he realized I was there.
It seems so, said Snape coolly.
How do you know? Said Harry urgently. Is this just Professor Dumbledore guessing, or...
I told you,
said Snape, rigid in his chair, his eyes slits.
To call me Sir.
Yes, sir, said Harry impatiently. But how do you know...
It is enough that we know,
said Snape repressively.
The important point is that the Dark Lord is now aware that you are gaining access to his thoughts and feelings. He has also deduced that the process is likely to work in reverse. That is to say, he has realized that he might be able to access your thoughts and feelings in return.
And he might try to make me do things, asked Harry. Sir? He added hurriedly.
He might, said Snape, sounding cold and unconcerned. Which brings us back to occlumency.
First time live watching, Thomas Roy. Welcome, Thomas, and whoever else is new and joining in for the first time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Love having you here. It's awesome. John should teach divination. You know it. The amount of times that I've nailed my premonitions. Come on now. Come on now. Snape pulled out his wand from an inside pocket of his robes, and Harry tensed in his chair. But Snape merely raised the wand to his temple and placed its tip into the greasy roots of his hair. When he withdrew it, some silvery substance came away, the memories, stretching from temple to wand like a thick gossamer strand, which broke as he pulled the wand away from it and fell gracefully into the Pensieve, where it swirled silvery white, neither gas nor liquid. Twice more, Snape raised the wand to his temple and deposited the silvery substance into the stone basin. Then, without offering any explanation of his behavior, he picked up the Pensieve carefully, removed it to a shelf out of their way, and returned to face Harry with his wand held at the ready.
Stand up and take out your wand, Potter.
Harry got to his feet, feeling nervous. They faced each other with the desk between them.
We got a little duel going on. That's pretty sweet if you ask me.
You may use your wand to attempt to disarm me, or defend yourself in any other way you can think of, said Snape.
And what are you going to do? Harry asked, eyeing Snape's wand apprehensively.
I am about to attempt to break into your mind, said Snape softly.
Ooh-wee! We got some danger up in here. Ooh. Joshua says, yes, it is truly predictable how often John is right. Thank you, Josh, for being a strong supporter of my premonitions. There's so many haters. But if they just went back into the videos and saw what I predicted, they'd just see that I nailed every single one. Okay.
I am about to attempt to break into your mind, said Snape softly. "We are going to see how well you resist. I have been told that you have already shown aptitude at resisting the Imperious Curse. You will find that similar powers are needed for this. Brace yourself now. Legilimens!" Snape had struck before Harry was ready, before he had even begun to summon any force of resistance. The office swam in front of his eyes and vanished. Image after image was racing through his mind like a flickering film, so vivid it blinded him to his surroundings. They hate us because they ain't us. John, we love you, but you know that's totally wrong. Caitlin says, I agree with Lindsay. I don't even know the definition of the word wrong. He was 5. He snapped back. He snapped back to a different time. Let's see, can we do a different light? Yeah, let's just go with this for now. Maybe this one? This one's better. Yeah. Or we'll just go back to this one. There we go. He was 5, watching Dudley riding a new red bicycle, and his heart was bursting with jealousy. He was 9, and Ripper the Bulldog was chasing him up a tree, and the Dursleys were laughing below on the lawn. He was sitting under the sorting hat, and it was telling him he would do well in Slytherin. Hermione was lying in the hospital wing, her face covered with thick black hair. 100 Dementors were closing in on him beside the dark lake. Cho Chang was drawing nearer to him under the mistletoe. "No," said a voice inside Harry's head, as the memory of Cho drew near. "You're not watching that. You're not watching it. It's private." He felt a sharp pain in his knee. Snape's office had come back into view, and he realized that he had fallen to the floor. One of his knees had collided painfully with the leg of Snape's desk. He looked up at Snape, who had lowered his wand and was rubbing his wrist. There was an angry wheal there, like a scorch mark. Wheal, W-E-A-L. I don't know what that means. There was an angry wheal there, like a scorch mark. Very cool lights, John. Thank you, Julia. "Did you mean to produce a stinging hex?" asked Snape coolly.
No,
said Harry bitterly, getting up from the floor. "I thought not," said Snape, watching him closely. "You let me get in too far. You lost control."
Did you see everything I saw? Harry asked, unsure whether he wanted to hear the answer.
"Flashes of it,"
said Snape, his lip curling.
"To whom did the dog belong?"
My Aunt Marge, Harry muttered, hating Snape.
"Well, for a first attempt that was not as poor as it might have been," said Snape, raising his wand once more. "You managed to stop me eventually, though you wasted time and energy shouting. You must remain focused. Repel me with your brain, and you will not need to resort to your wand."
Repel me with your brain! What a sentence. Come on now.
"Repel me with your brain!"
Wheal, a red swollen mark left on flesh by a blow or pressure. Oh, so that's where he zapped towards. At Snape, yeah. Could you imagine your teachers being able to get into your mind? Dear heavens, no! Where are we? There we go. I'm trying, said Harry angrily. But you're not telling me how.
"Manners, Potter,"
said Snape dangerously.
"Now, I want you to close your eyes."
Harry threw him a filthy look. Harry threw him a filthy look before doing as he was told. He did not like the idea of standing there with his eyes shut while Snape faced him, carrying a wand.
"Clear your mind, Potter," said Snape's cold voice. "Let go of all emotion."
But Harry's anger at Snape continued to pound through his veins like venom. Let go of his anger? He could as easily detach his legs.
"You're not doing it, Potter. You will need more discipline than this. Focus now."
Harry tried to empty his mind. Try not to think, or remember, or feel.
"Let's go again. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Legilimens!
A great black dragon was rearing front of him. Oh, hiccups. His father and mother were waving at him out of an enchanted mirror. Cedric Diggory was lying on the ground with blank eyes staring at him. No! Harry was on his knees again, his face buried in his hands, his brain aching as though someone had been trying to pull it from his skull.
Get up, said Snape sharply. Get up! You're not trying. You're making no effort. You are allowing me access to memories you fear, handing me weapons.
Harry stood up again. This is kind of awesome. This is a kind of an awesome scene. I love this. His heart thumping wildly, as though he had really just seen Cedric dead in the graveyard. Snape looked paler than usual, and angrier, though not nearly as angry as Harry was. I am making an effort, he said through clenched teeth.
I told you to empty yourself of emotion.
Yeah? Well, I'm finding that hard at the moment, Harry snarled.
Then you will find yourself easy prey for the Dark Lord, said Snape savagely. Fools who wear their hearts proudly on their sleeves, who cannot control their emotions, who wallow in sad memories, and allow themselves to be provoked so easily. Weak people, in other words. They stand no chance against his powers. He will penetrate your mind with absurd ease, Potter.
I am not weak, said Harry in a low voice, fury now pumping through him so that he thought he might attack Snape in a moment.
And prove it! Master yourself, spat Snape. Control your anger. Discipline your mind. We shall try again. Get ready now. Legilimens!
He was watching Uncle... This is awesome. He's the teacher he hates the most is training him, and he's the right person to do this because he hates Voldemort, but he also hates Snape, so Snape can help him get over his hate towards Snape so he can kill Voldemort. Kill or not kill. Could be a bit lower. Yeah, I agree. For me too. It's kind of hard with this song because it starts off so low and then it gets loud and all that. Could you turn the music down a bit? Music's pretty loud. It's like teaching your toddler to swim. Message automatically deleted. Thank you, Lois. Deleted a message there. All I see is that it's automatically deleted. Okay. It's a bit quieter. Let me know if that's too quiet. This is a great scene. He was watching Uncle Vernon. Oh yeah, he's back in it. He's back in it. He was watching Uncle Vernon hammering the letterbox shut. 100 Dementors were drifting across the... Oh, you know what I could do here? There we go. Wait. He was watching Uncle Vernon hammering the letterbox shut. 100 Dementors were drifting across the lake in the grounds towards him. He was running along a windowless passage with Mr. Weasley. They were drawing near to the plain black door at the end of the corridor. Harry expected to go through it, but Mr. Weasley led him off to the left, down a flight of stone steps. I know! He was on all fours again on Snape's office floor. His scar was prickling unpleasantly, but the voice that had just issued from his mouth was triumphant. He pushed himself up again to find Snape staring at him, his wand raised. It looked as though, this time, Snape had lifted the spell before Harry had even tried to fight back.
What happened then, Potter?
He asked, eyeing Harry intently. I remembered, Harry panted. I've just realized.
Realized what?
Asked Snape sharply. Harry did not answer at once. He was still savoring the moment of blinding realization as he rubbed his forehead. He had been dreaming about a windowless corridor ending in a locked door for months, without once realizing that it was a real place. Now, seeing the memory again, he knew that all along he had been dreaming about the corridor down which he had run with Mr. Weasley on the 12th of August as they hurried to the courtrooms in the Ministry. It was the corridor leading to the Department of Mysteries, and Mr. Weasley had been there the night that he had been attacked by Voldemort's snake. Ah, okay. Okay. John's secret stage management show calling skills coming in handy with these lighting shifts. Caitlin, I have my book out and I'm reading with you. Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, I used to tell you page numbers where I was at, but I'll continue to do that for next time, because I know some people do that. Revelation! Okay, he looked up at Snake. What's in the Department of Mysteries?
What did you say?
Snape asked quietly, and Harry saw with deep satisfaction that Snape was unnerved. I said, what's in the Department of Mysteries, sir? Harry said.
And why, said Snape slowly, would you ask such a thing?
Because, said Harry, watching Snape's face closely. That corridor I've just seen, I've been dreaming about it for months. I've just recognized it. It leads to the Department of Mysteries. And I think Voldemort wants something from...
I have told you not to say the Dark Lord's name!
They glared at each other. Harry's scar seared again, but he did not care. Snape looked agitated, but when he spoke again, he sounded as though he was trying to appear cool and unconcerned.
There are many things in the Department of Mysteries, Potter, few of which you would understand, and none of which would concern you. Do I make myself plain?
Yes, Harry said, still rubbing his prickling scar, which was becoming more painful.
I want you back here same time on Wednesday. We will continue work then.
Fine, said Harry. He was desperate to get out of Snape's office and find Ron and Hermione.
You are to rid your mind of all emotion every night before sleep. Empty it. Make it blank and calm. You understand?
Yes, said Harry, who was barely listening.
And be warned, Potter. I shall know if you have not practiced.
Right, Harry mumbled. He picked up his school bag, swung it over his shoulder, and hurried towards the office door. As he opened it, he glanced back at Snape, who had his back to Harry and was scooping his own thoughts out of the pensieve with the tip of his wand and replacing them carefully inside his own head. Harry left without another word, closing the door carefully behind him, his scar still throbbing painfully. That was pretty great.
John's voice is dry. He needs to moisten it with some water.
All right, what did you write here? This is such a cool chapter, man. Yeah, it really is. Chicago 9. Professor Snoop's got venom. Well, that was productive. Snape's literally asking for the impossible. Yeah, that's super hard to do. And yeah, interesting that Snape was taking the thoughts and putting them back in his head after the pensieve. I think he's kind of scared of Harry's power. Because it's probably, if Voldemort's connected to Harry and he's going through these strong emotions and he's feeling what Harry's feeling, and Snape's also in there, so that means that either Harry or Voldemort could also potentially see Snape's thoughts. So maybe that's why he's emptying certain emotions, certain memories out. Whatever those memories may be. Who knows? Let's keep going. Harry found Ron and Hermione. I'm going to go long today, by the way, because I missed out on 2 days. Oh, well, more than 2 days. But I'll go long today. Harry found Ron and Hermione in the library, where they were working on Umbridge's most recent ream of homework. Other students, nearly all of them fifth years, sat at... is that a premonition? I think so. I didn't really premonish anything. It's just that, for me, that's like a reasoning why he's... Why are people saying boo? Because I burped? Or because I guess so. I am going long. What was that, man? It was a burp. Okay. Where were we? Harry found Ron and Hermione in the library, where they were working on Umbridge's most recent ream of homework. Other students, nearly all of them fifth years, sat at lamp-lit tables nearby, noses close to books, quills scratching feverishly, while the sky outside the mullioned windows grew steadily blacker. The only other sound was the slight squeaking of one of Madame Pince's shoes, as the librarian prowled the aisles menacingly, breathing down the necks of those touching her
precious books. Harry felt shivery. His scar was still aching. He felt almost feverish. When he sat down opposite Ron and Hermione, he caught sight of himself in the window opposite. He was very white, and his scar seemed to be showing up more clearly than usual. "How did it go?" Hermione whispered, and then looking concerned. "Are you all right, Harry?" "Yeah, fine." "I don't know," said Harry impatiently, wincing as pain shot through his scar again. "Listen, I've just realized something." And he told them what he had just seen and deduced. So, are you saying," whispered Ron, as Madame Pin swept past, squeaking slightly, "that the weapon, the thing you know who's after, is in the Ministry of Magic? In the Department of Mysteries. It's got to be," Harry whispered. "I saw that door, and when your dad took me down to the courtrooms for my hearing, and it's definitely the same one he was guarding when the snake bit him." Hermione let out a long, slow sigh. "Of course," she breathed. "Of course what?" said Ron rather impatiently. "Ron, think about it. Sturgis Podmore was trying to get through a door at the Ministry of Magic. It must have been that one. It's too much of a coincidence." "How come Sturgis was trying to break in when he's on our side?" said Ron.
"Well, I don't know," Hermione admitted. "It is a bit odd. Wait,
Sturgis Podmore. I forgot who Sturgis is. This is a character who I don't think we've met yet. Who's Sturgis again? Can you please write that in the chat? Oh, boo, because of Umbridge. What do you think Snape removed? A memory. Yeah. I wish we could stick around for extended time. Today is that day. I don't want to hear that. I feel like dying. I was thinking of just rewatch it later, but I read the chat too. Quills are so inefficient. Just use Penchels. We don't really know him. He's the guy who had Mad Eye's cloak, and they saw him in the hospital. Oh, one of the Order of the Phoenix. He's in Azkaban now. It's fine. Sturgis just meh. Okay, cool. If he's not that important, then I'll just move on through.
So, what's in the Department of Mysteries? Harry asked Ron. Has your dad ever mentioned anything about it?
I know they call the people who work in there unspeakables, said Ron, frowning, because no one really seems to know what they do. Weird place to have a weapon.
It's not weird at all. It makes perfect sense, said Hermione. It will be something top secret that the Ministry has been developing, I expect. Harry, are you sure you're all right?
For Harry had just run both his hands over his forehead as though trying to iron it.
Yeah, fine, he said, lowering his hands, which were trembling. I just feel a bit... I don't like occlumency much.
Yeah.
I expect anyone would feel shaky if they'd had their mind attacked over and over again, said Hermione sympathetically. Look, let's get back to the common room. We'll be a bit more comfortable there.
But the common room was packed and full of shrieks of laughter and excitement. Fred and George were demonstrating their latest bit of joke. How far can I put this so it's closer for me? There we go. Fred and George were demonstrating their latest bit of joke shop merchandise. "Headless hats!" shouted George as Fred waved a pointed hat decorated with a fluffy pink feather at the watching students. 2 galleons each! Watch Fred now! Fred swept the hat onto his head, beaming. For a second he merely looked rather stupid. Then both hat and head vanished. Okay, well they got some serious skills, those two. Not that important. I think we've confused Bode and Podmore a few times in this chat. They're kind of like Men in Black of the Wizarding World. Okay, cool. The twin heroes of Hogwarts, love them. Okay. Several girls screamed, but everyone else was roaring with laughter. "And off again!" shouted George, and Fred's hand groped for a moment in what seemed to be thin air over his shoulder. Then his head reappeared as he swept the pink feathered hat from it. "How do those hats work, then?" said Hermione, distracted from her homework and watching Fred and George closely. "I mean, obviously it's some kind of invisibility spell, but it's rather clever to have extended the field of invisibility beyond the boundaries of the charmed object. I'd imagine the charmed wouldn't have a very long life, though." He's so interested. Harry did not answer. He was feeling ill. I'm going to have to do this tomorrow,"
he muttered, pushing the books he had just taken out of his bag back inside it. Well, write it in your homework planner then, said Hermione encouragingly, so you don't forget. Harry and Ron exchanged looks as he reached into his bag, withdrew the planner, and opened it tentatively. Oh yeah, these books. Right, it says something. Oh right, it's like, hey, don't leave it till later, you big second rater, chided the book. Or maybe not that happy, maybe. Don't leave it till later, you big second rater, chided the book as Harry scribbled down Umbridge's homework. Hermione beamed at it. I think I'll go to bed, said Harry, stuffing the homework planner back into his bag and making a mental note to drop it in the fire the first opportunity he got. He walked across the common room, dodging George, who tried to put a headless hat on him, and reached the peace and cool of the stone staircase to the boys' dormitories. He was feeling sick again, just as he had the night he had the vision of the snake, but thought that if he could just lie down for a while, he would be all right. He opened the door of his dormitory and was one step inside it when he experienced pain so severe he thought that someone must have sliced into the top of his head. He did not know where he was, whether he was standing or lying down. He did not even know his own name. Maniacal laughter was ringing in his ears. He was happier than he had been in a very long time. That's a bit loud. That's a bit loud. That's a bit loud. Let me know what you think of this. Trying it out. He was happier than he had been in a very long time. Jubilant, ecstatic, triumphant. A wonderful, wonderful thing had just happened. Harry? Harry! Someone had hit him around the face. Oh, well, that was it. I thought it was going to go on for longer. The insane laughter was punctuated with a cry of pain. The happiness was draining out of him, but the laughter continued. He opened his eyes, and as he did so, he became aware that the wild laughter was coming out of his own mouth. Yikes! The moment he realized this, it died away. Harry lay panting on the floor, staring up at the ceiling, the scar on his forehead throbbing horribly. Ron was bending over him, looking very worried. What happened? He said. I don't know, Harry gasped, sitting up again. He's really happy. Really happy. You know who is? Something good's happened, mumbled Harry. He was shaking as badly as he had done after seeing the snake attack Mr. Weasley, and he felt very sick. Something he's been hoping for. The words came, just as they had back in the Gryffindor changing room, as though a stranger was speaking them through Harry's mouth, yet he knew they were true. The words came. Okay. He took deep breaths, willing himself not to vomit all over Ron. He was very glad that Dean and Seamus were not here to watch this time. Hermione told me to come and check on you, said Ron in a low voice, helping Harry to his feet. She says your defenses will be low at the moment, after Snape's been fiddling around with your mind. Still, I suppose it'll help in the long run, won't it? He looked doubtfully at Harry as he helped him towards his bed. Harry nodded without any conviction and slumped back on his pillows, aching all over from having fallen to the floor so often that evening, his scar still prickling painfully. He could not help feeling that his first foray into occlumency had weakened his mind's resistance rather than strengthening it, and he wondered, with a feeling of great trepidation, what had happened to make Lord Voldemort the happiest he had been in 14 years. Whoa, the happiest he had been in 14 years? You kidding me? Yikes. Okay, that's the end of that chapter. Next chapter is chapter 25, The Beetle at Bay. Okay. First live novel, I'm still trying. I'm so glad that they didn't waste his money. I could totally benefit from one of these books, but with Snape's voice. Dun dun dun, Voldemort happy. Maybe he's reliving Harry and Cho's kiss. He's just replaying it over and over again. Or I know, just, another time. No, one more time. Oh, that was good. Ah. It's almost 4 here in Germany. Lukas Herzog. Hallo an dir, Lukas. Hoffe, du hast einen schönen Tag.
pervy Voldemort, totally. Voldy's throwing a big party. So it's kind of hard to premonish about this because so much in the book has been wrapped in secrecy, right? The Order of the Phoenix, what are they doing? At the beginning. Then then why is Dumbledore not looking at Harry? And what is Voldemort even doing all this time? Why did he attack Mr. Weasley? What's behind the door? So in terms of this, him being happy, there's nothing pointing towards it, at least not to my knowledge. At the end of this book, he can point it out to me, okay? If there have been clues, clues you can deduce from, not, oh yeah, like once you go back and read it, you know, in hindsight, sure. But if there's actual clues you can deduce this from, of why he's happy, prove it to me at the end of the book. Tell me. For now, I'm just thinking he found some sweet chocolate he forgot about. And he's just super happy about it. What is our host drinking? Just water. Just water. Don't let Voldemort plan your wedding. Always wanted to hear you talk German since I found out you were born here. Yeah, I still talk German to my friends in Germany. My best friends from high school. Keep reading. I'll read when I want to, Chicago. Moldy Wardkin, though, it would be on a train with a trolley. He's a Liverpool fan. They finally won the Premier League. You'll find out. Keep reading. Yeah, I will. Don't worry. I'll keep reading. I know I'll find out. I'm just having a good time here. Just water. All right. Chapter 25. I'm going to keep reading now. The Beetle at Be. The Beetle at Be. Harry's question was answered the very next morning. When Hermione's Daily Prophet arrived, she smoothed it out. A Daily Prophet's coming up. She smoothed it out, gazed for a moment at the front page, and gave a yelp that caused everyone in the vicinity to stare at her. What? Said Harry and Ron together. Keep calm and read on. Can I practice my German with you? I need your help beyond Duolingo. I don't know if you want to pay for it. You can send me some stuff on Discord. For answer, she spread the newspaper on the table in front of them and pointed at 10 black and white photographs that filled the whole of the front page. 9 showing wizards' faces, and the 10th a witch's. Talk about equality, am I right? Some of the people in the photographs were silently jeering. Others were tapping their fingers on the frame of their pictures, looking insolent. Each picture was captioned with a name and the crime for which the person had been sent to Azkaban. Okay. Antonin Dolohov read the legend beneath. A wizard with long, pale, twisted face was sneering up at Harry. Convicted of the brutal murders of Gideon and Fabian Prewitt. Algernon Rookwood, said the caption beneath. A pockmarked man with greasy hair who was leaning against the edge of his picture, looking bored. Convicted of leaking Ministry for Magic secrets to he who must not be named. But Harry's eyes were drawn to the picture of the witch. Her face had leapt out at him the moment he had seen the page. She had long, dark hair that looked unkempt and straggly in the picture, though he had seen it slick, thick, and shining. She glared up at him through heavily lidded eyes, an arrogant, disdainful smile up at him through an arrogant, disdainful smile playing around her thin mouth. Like Sirius, she retained vestiges of great good looks, but something, perhaps Azkaban, had taken most of her beauty. Reporter voice is back. Yeah. Toilet time? Is it toilet time again? I don't know why. Nothing happened yet. Bellatrix Lestrange. All right. Convicted of the torture and permanent incapacitation. Why can't I say that word? Incapacitation of Frank and Alice Longbottom. Hermione nudged Harry and pointed at the headline over the pictures, which Harry, concentrating on Bellatrix, had not yet read. And here we go with the news. Mass breakout from Azkaban. Ministry fears Black is rallying point for old Death Eaters. Black, said Harry loudly. Not... Shh, whispered Hermione desperately. Not so loud, just read it.
The Ministry of Magic announced late last night that there has been a mass breakout from Azkaban. Speaking to reporters in his private office, this is a bit loud, I know, so I'm going to turn it down because that might be just a tad too loud. There we go. Let's get back to it. Back to the news. That was a short break, and we're back to it with what's his face? Speaking to reporters in his private office, Cornelius Fudge, Minister for Magic, confirmed that 10 high school prisoners, high security prisoners escaped in the early hours of yesterday evening, and that he has already informed the Muggle Prime Minister of the dangerous nature of these individuals. We find ourselves, most unfortunately, in the same position we were 2.5 years ago, when the murderer Sirius Black escaped, said Fudge last night. Nor do we think the two breakouts are unrelated. An escape of this magnitude suggests outside help, and we must remember that Black, as the first person ever to break out of Azkaban, would be ideally placed to help others follow in his footsteps. We think it likely that these individuals, who include Black's cousin, Bellatrix Lestrange, have rallied around Black as their leader. We are, however, doing all we can to round up the criminals, and we beg the magical community to remain alert and cautious. On no account should any of these individuals be approached.
There we go. Okay, so they're just basically saying, I just need a short... whenever I do that voice, I can't think about what is actually currently being said. In the same term, when the murder Sirius Black escaped, yeah. We think the two breakouts are unrelated. Escape of this magnitude. Okay, so wait. Oh, so those 10 broke out. Okay, I thought they were just talking about Black. So 10 of these people broke out. That's why he was so happy. Okay, gotcha. And they're just pointing back at Snape, at Black, and saying, "This guy." I love this new music. Did I miss the animation at the beginning? I was helping. I'll put on the animation at the very end again. I'm not gonna do it every single time, but for now. Did you just look for Mark to laugh at your joke? No, not this time. I didn't know. High school prisoners. Let us out. We want to do some homework. Please let us out. We want to go smoke around the corner so the teachers don't see us. Ministry think Black helped, right? Yeah, Death Eaters. Oh, they're all Death Eaters. Shoot. Oh, there he is. Here's Dexy. Hey, buddy. Hey. Oh, little makeout sesh. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, there we go. Hey, buddy. Say hello to everybody. I'll try bringing him closer. Oh, sorry, buddy. There he is. You can't really see him. Okay, let's keep going. There you are, Harry, said Ron, looking awestruck. That's why he was happy last night. I don't believe this, snarled Harry. Fudge is blaming the breakout on Sirius? What other options does he have? Said Hermione bitterly. He can hardly say, "Sorry, everyone, Dumbledore warned me this might happen. The Azkaban guards have joined Lord Voldemort." Stop whimpering, Ron. And now Voldemort's worst supporters have broken out too. I mean, he spent a good 6 months telling everyone you and Dumbledore are liars, hasn't he? Nice. She's just like saying straight up Voldemort. She's not scared. That's what I love Hermione. She's just got so much power. She's just not scared most of the time. She knows who she is. She knows how clever she is, and she slaps the shit out of Draco. Not PG that time. All right, whatever. Hermione ripped open the newspaper and began to read the report inside, while Harry looked around the great hall. He could not understand why his fellow students were not looking scared, or at least discussing the terrible piece of news on the front page. But very few of them took the newspaper every day like Hermione. There they all were, talking about homework and Quidditch and who knew what other rubbish, when outside these walls 10 more Death Eaters had swollen Voldemort's ranks. He's lying back there again. Scene you definitely have to watch. He glanced up at the staff table. It was a different story there. Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall were deep in conversation, both looking extremely grave. Professor Sprout had the Prophet propped against a bottle of ketchup and was reading the front page with such concentration that she was not noticing the gentle drip of egg yolk
falling into her lap from her stationary spoon. Meanwhile, at the far end of the table, Professor Umbridge was tucking into a bowl of porridge. She's happy. She's happy. She just doesn't care. For once, her pouchy toad's eyes were not sweeping the great hall looking for misbehaving students. She scowled as she gulped down her food, and every now and then she shot a malevolent glance up the table to where Dumbledore and McGonagall were talking so intensely. "Oh my," said Hermione wonderingly, still staring at the newspaper. "What now?" said Harry quickly. He was feeling jumpy. "It's horrible," said Hermione, looking shaken. She folded back page 10 of the newspaper and handed it to Harry and Ron. And we're back with the news. Tragic demise of Ministry of Magic worker. St. Mungo's Hospital promised a full inquiry last night after Ministry of Magic worker Broderick Bode, 49, was discovered dead in his bed, strangled by a pot plant. Healers called to the scene were unable to revive Mr. Bode, who had been injured in a workplace accident some weeks prior to his death. Healer Miriam Strout, who was charged in Mr. Bode's ward at the time of the incident, has been suspended on full pay and was unavailable for comment yesterday. But a spokeswizard for the hospital said in a statement, St. Mungo's deeply regrets the death of Mr. Bode, whose health was improving steadily prior to this tragic accident. We have strict guidelines on the decorations permitted on our wards, but it appears that Healer Strout, busy over the Christmas period, overlooked the dangers of the plant on Mr. Bode's bedside table. As his speech and mobility improved, Healer Strout encouraged Mr. Bode to look after the plant himself, unaware that it was not an innocent flitterbloom, but a cutting of devil's snare, which, when touched by the convalescent Mr. Bode, throttled him instantly. St. Mungo's is as yet unable to account for the presence of the plant on the ward, and asks any witch or wizard with information to come forward.
Nathan Mose first. You're right. You won't remember a single word from this again. No, I did. I did this time. See you later, Timon. See you tomorrow. Okay, so obviously somebody put that there on purpose. Those two characters that people mixed up in the chat. Can you please tell me about Bode and Lestrade, or what was that other character's name? Can you please tell me, just until now, what the information about them that has been said in the book? Because I forget what Bode's importance was. Same with that other dude. If somebody can just describe that for me, that would be helpful for me to...
Premonish the right way, like always.
Poor Bode. Yeah, choked to death. Holy smokes.
Bode, said Ron. Bode. It rings a bell. We saw him, Hermione whispered. In St. Mungo's, remember? He was in the bed opposite Lockhart's, just lying there, staring at the ceiling. And we saw the devil's snare arrive. She, the healer, said it was a Christmas present. Harry looked back at the story. A feeling of horror was rising like bile in his throat. How come we didn't recognize Devil's Snare? We've seen it before. We could have stopped this from happening.
There he is. He's back. Little Dexy's back. Oh, and he's having a good time.
Who expects Devil's Snare to turn up in a hospital disguised as a pot plant, said Ron sharply. It's not our fault. Whoever sent it to the bloke is to blame. They must be a real prat. Why didn't they check what they were buying? Oh, come on, Ron, said Hermione shakily. I don't think anyone could put Devil's Snare in a pot and not realize it tries to kill whoever touches it. This was murder. A clever murder, as well. If the plant was sent anonymously, how anyone's ever going to find out who did it?
Harry was not thinking about Devil's Snare. He was remembering taking the lift down to the 9th level of the Ministry on the day of his hearing and the sallow-faced man who had got in on the atrium level. I met Bode, he said slowly. I saw him at the Ministry with your dad. Bode was impatient. Bode's unspeakable became crazy at work. Ministry of Magic. They were both Order members. Right. The other guy was put on Azkaban for trying to enter the Department of Ministries. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Bellatrix, we haven't heard look description. Caitlin was Bode, an Order member. Okay. So he had seen him before. Ron's mouth fell open. I've heard Dad talk about him at home. He was an unspeakable. He worked in the Department of Mysteries.
They looked at each other for a moment. Then Hermione pulled the newspaper back towards her, closed it, glared for a moment at the pictures of the 10 escaped Death Eaters on the front, then leapt to her feet. "Where are you going?" said Ron, startled. "To send a letter," said Hermione, swinging her bag onto her shoulder. Well, I don't know whether... But it's worth trying, and I'm the only one who can." "I hate it when she does that," grumbled Ron, as he and Harry got up from the table and made their own slower way out of the Great Hall. "Would it kill her to tell us what she's up to for once? It'd take her about 10 more seconds. Hey, Hagrid!"
Hagrid! I love myself some Hagrid.
Hagrid was standing beside the doors into the entrance hall, waiting for a crowd of Ravenclaws to pass. He was still as heavily bruised as he had been on the day he had come back from his mission to the Giants, and there was a new cut right across the bridge of his nose. What is going on with Hagrid? What the heck is going on? I've heard about Bellatrix, but if you're paying attention, it's easy to miss. Bode has a very ominous voice. He's dead. Bode is dead. Nathan.
All right, you two,
He said, trying to muster a smile, but managing only a kind of pained grimace. "Are you okay, Hagrid?" asked Harry, following him as he lumbered after the Ravenclaws.
Fine. Fine,
said Hagrid with a feeble assumption of airiness. He waved a hand and narrowly missed concussing a frightened-looking Professor Vector, who was passing.
Just busy, you know. Usual stuff. Lessons to prepare. A couple of salamanders got scale rot, and I'm on probation.
He mumbled. "You're on probation?" said Ron very loudly, so that many of the passing students looked around curiously. "Sorry, I mean, you're on probation?" he whispered.
Yeah, said Hagrid. It's no more than I expected, to tell you the truth. You might not have picked up on it, but that inspection did not go too well, you know. Anyway,
He sighed deeply.
let's go and rub a bit more chili powder on them salamanders, or their tails will be hanging off them next. See you, Harry. Ron.
He trudged away, out of the front doors and down the stone steps into the damp grounds. Harry watched him go, wondering how much more bad news he could stand. That sucks. But yeah, of course he'd be on probation because Umbridge has a thing for actual good teachers. Hagrid try MMA lessons. For boding. Oh my gosh, Janessa. He asked calmly. Oh, what time is it? 7:07. Let's see, how much do we have left here? Well, there's a whole bunch more pages in this chapter. This is a long, long chapter. I'm not going to finish the chapter, but I'll keep going for a while here. The fact that Hagrid was now on probation became common knowledge within the school over the next few days. But to Harry's indignation, hardly anybody appeared to be upset about it. Indeed, some people, Draco Malfoy prominent among them, seemed positively gleeful. As for the freakish death of an obscure Department of Mysteries employee in St. Mungo's, Harry, Ron, and Hermione seemed to be the only people who knew or cared. There was only one topic of conversation in the corridors now, the 10 escaped Death Eaters, whose story had finally filtered through the school from those few people who read the newspapers. Rumors were flying that some of the convicts had been spotted in Hogsmeade, that they were supposed to be hiding out in the Shrieking Shack, and that they were going to break into Hogwarts just as Sirius Black had once done. Those who came from wizarding families had grown up hearing the names of these Death Eaters spoken with almost as much fear as Voldemort's. Okay, so they're probably pretty powerful. The crimes they had committed during the days of Voldemort's reign of terror were legendary. There were relatives of their victims among the Hogwarts students, who now found themselves the unwilling objects of a gruesome sort of reflected fame as they walked the corridors. Susan Bones, whose uncle, aunt, and cousins had all died at the hands of one of the 10, said miserably during herbology that she now had a good idea what it felt like to be Harry. Susan Bones, I don't think if she's a character that pops up often, but I'll just give her a voice. I don't know how you stand it. It's horrible, she said bluntly, dumping far too much dragon manure on her tray of screech snap seedlings. Screech snap seedlings, causing them to wriggle and squeak in discomfort.
No, not the manure.
It was true that Harry was the subject of much renewed muttering and pointing in the corridors these days. Yet he thought he detected a slight difference in the tone of the whisperers' voices. She's in the DA, OJV, her aunt. Stuffy Noise Susan Bones. She's a Hufflepuff, mentioned maybe 4 times ever. Okay, there we go. They sounded curious rather than hostile now, and once or twice he was sure he overheard snatches of conversations that suggested that the speakers were not satisfied with the prophet's version of how and why 10 Death Eaters had managed to break out of the Azkaban fortress. In their confusion and fear, these doubters now seemed to be turning to the only other explanation available to them, the one that Harry and Dumbledore had been expounding since the previous year. It was not only the students' mood that had changed. It was now quite common to come across 2 or 3 teachers conversing in low, urgent whispers in the corridors, breaking off their conversations the moment they saw students approaching. They obviously can't talk freely in the staff room anymore, said Hermione in a low voice as she, Harry, and Ron passed Professor McGonagall, Flitwick, and Sprout, huddled together outside the Charms classroom one day. Not with Umbridge there. Reckon they know anything new, said Ron, gazing back over his shoulder at the 3 teachers. If they do, we're not going to hear about it, are we? Said Harry angrily. Not after Decree... What number are we on now? For new notices had appeared on the house notice boards the morning after news of the Azkaban breakout. By order of the High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, teachers are hereby banned from giving students any information that is not strictly related to the subjects they are paid to teach. The above is in accordance with Educational Decree number 26, signed Dolores Jane Umbridge, High Inquisitor. Boo. Boo. I'm doing Mark. She's related to Madame Bones. Her aunt was on Harry's side at the trial in the beginning, and she was the one who mentioned Harry's Patronus to the DA. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, cool. This latest decree had been the subject of a great number of jokes among the students. Lee Jordan had pointed out to Umbridge that by the terms of the new rule, she was not allowed to tell Fred and George off for playing exploding Snap in the back of the class. Who's saying this? Wait. Great number of jokes. Lee Jordan. Right, okay. Pointed out. I think that's Lee Jordan. Exploding Snap's got nothing to do with defense against the dark arts, Professor. That's not information relating to your subject. When Harry next saw Lee, the back of his hand was bleeding rather badly. Harry recommended essence of Murtlap. Harry thought the breakout from Azkaban might have humbled Umbridge a little, that she might have been abashed at the catastrophe that had occurred right under their nose of her beloved Fudge. It seemed, however, what if Fudge and Umbridge have something going on? Fumbridge. Fudgebridge. Fumbridge. Of Fudge. Adrid. What if they got something happening? Okay. It seemed, however, to have only intensified her furious desire to bring every aspect of life at Hogwarts under her personal control. She seemed determined, at the very least, to achieve a sacking before long, and the only question was whether it would be Professor Trelawney or Hagrid who went first. Oh, please, let it be Professor Trelawney, even though I'll miss her. But she'll be back after Umbridge is killed. I don't know if she'll be killed, but I hope she will. Every single divination and care of magical creatures lesson was now conducted in the presence of Umbridge and her clipboard. She lurked by the fire in the heavily perfumed tower room, interrupting Professor Trelawney's increasingly hysterical talks with difficult questions about ornithomancy and heptomology, there we go, insisting that she predict students' answers before they gave them, and demanding that she demonstrate her skill at the crystal ball, the tea leaves, and the rune stones in turn. Jeez. Harry thought Professor Trelawney might soon crack under the strain. Several times he passed her in the corridors, in itself a very unusual occurrence, as she generally remained in her tower room, muttering wildly to herself, wringing her hands and shooting terrified glances over her shoulder, and all the while giving off a powerful smell of cooking sherry. If he had not been so worried about Hagrid, he would have felt sorry for her. But if one of them was to be ousted from their job, there could be only one choice for Harry as to who should remain. Yep. Oh, that ship. Was it a signation? Yeah, it was. I refuse to track signations. Talking about ships, the only two correct ones are Drarry, Draco and Harry, and Wolfstar. Remus, serious. Okay, let's keep going. Unfortunately, Harry could not see that Hagrid was putting up a better show than Trelawney. Though he seemed to be following Hermione's advice, and had shown them nothing more frightening than a Krupp, a creature indistinguishable from a Jack Russell Terrier except for its forked tail. Ha ha! That's great. Since before Christmas, he too seemed to have lost his nerve. He was oddly distracted and jumpy during lessons, losing the thread of what he was saying to the class, answering questions wrongly, and all the time glancing anxiously at Umbridge. He was also more distant with Harry, Ron, and Hermione than he had ever been before, and had expressly forbidden them to visit him after dark. That sucks. This is Hagrid.
If she catches you, it'll be all of our necks on the line,
He told them flatly. And with no desire to do anything that might jeopardize his job further, they abstained from walking down to his hut in the evenings. It seemed to Harry that Umbridge was steadily depriving him of everything that made his life at Hogwarts worth living. Visits to Hagrid's house, letters from Sirius, his firebolt and Quidditch. He took his revenge the only way he could, by redoubling his efforts for the DA. Harry was pleased to see that all of them, even Zacharias Smith, had been spurred on to work harder than ever by the news that 10 more Death Eaters were now on the loose. But in nobody was this improvement more pronounced than in Neville. The news of his parents' attackers' escape had wrought a strange and even slightly alarming change in him. He had not once mentioned his meeting with Harry, Ron, and Hermione on the closed ward in St. Mungo's, and, taking their lead from him, they had kept quiet about it too. Nor had he said anything on the subject of Bellatrix and her fellow torturer's escape. In fact, Neville barely spoke during their DA meetings anymore, but worked relentlessly on every new jinx and countercurse Harry taught them. That's awesome, Neville. His plump face screwed up in concentration, apparently indifferent to injuries or accidents, and working harder than anyone else in the room. He was improving so fast, it was quite unnerving, and when Harry taught them the shield charm, a means of deflecting minor jinxes so that they rebounded upon the attacker, only Hermione mastered the charm faster than Neville. Damn, Neville. Damn. Harry would have given a great deal to be making as much progress at occlumency as Neville was making during the DA meeting. Harry's sessions with Snape, which had started badly enough, were not improving. On the contrary, Harry felt he was getting worse with every lesson. Before he had started studying occlumency, his scar had prickled occasionally, usually during the night, or else following one of those strange flashes of Voldemort's thoughts or mood that he experienced every now and then. Nowadays, however, his scar hardly ever stopped prickling, and he often felt lurches of annoyance or cheerfulness that were unrelated to what had happened to him at the time, which were always accompanied by a particularly painful twinge from his scar. He had the
John's voice is dry. He needs to moisten with some water.
He had the horrible impression that he was slowly turning into a kind of Ariel that was tuned into tiny fluctuations in Voldemort's mood, and he was sure he could date this increased sensitivity firmly from his first occlumency lesson with Snape. What was more, he was now dreaming about walking down the corridor towards the entrance to the Department of Mysteries almost every night. Dreams which always culminated in him standing longingly in front of the plain black door. Maybe it's a bit like an illness, said Hermione, looking concerned when Harry confided in her and Ron. A fever or something. It has to get worse before it gets better. The lessons with Snape are making it worse, said Harry flatly. I'm getting sick of my scar hurting, and I'm getting bored with walking down that corridor every night. He rubbed his forehead angrily. I just wish the door would open. I'm sick of standing staring at it. That's not funny, said Hermione sharply. Dumbledore doesn't want you to have dreams about that corridor at all. Or he wouldn't have asked Snape to teach you occlumency. You're just going to have to work a bit harder in your lessons. I am working, said Harry, nettled. You try it sometime. Snape trying to get inside your head. It's not a bundle of laughs, you know. Maybe, said Ron, slowly. Maybe what? Said Hermione, rather snappishly. Maybe it's not Harry's fault he can't close his mind, said Ron darkly. What do you mean? Said Hermione. Well, maybe Snape isn't really trying to help Harry. Harry and Hermione stared at him. Ron looked darkly and meaningfully from one to the other. Maybe, he said again in a lower voice, he's actually trying to open Harry's mind a bit wider. Make it easier for, you know... Shut up, Ron, said Hermione angrily. How many times have you suspected Snape, and when have you ever been right? Dumbledore trusts him. He works for the Order. That ought to be enough. He used to be a Death Eater, said Ron stubbornly, and we've never seen proof that he really swapped sides. Dumbledore trusts him, Hermione repeated. And if we can't trust Dumbledore, we can't trust anyone.
That's the end of that section, and we'll end right here. Neville's not musing there. So yeah, you can write down some questions. We'll have some pondering upon what has happened. Just wanted to just chat really shortly here about what I do and me taking a break and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this to create a good community. You know, I'm not gonna lie, getting YouTube subscribers is awesome. It's great as a result of this. But yeah, I'm doing this for fun, and so some people are saying, you know, like, you know, you're not being consistent, or you know, even like, you know, what's wrong, stuff like that. I'm not a vlogger. I am not an influencer. I'm an entertainer. So I do this for fun. This is a free entertainment. I like doing this. I love the community that we've built here. But if I want to take a day off, or I want to take a couple of days off, or even a week, I'll just do it. Because sometimes I'll need it, and I won't always give a reason for it. If you want to know, if, for example, on the day that I'm going to be taking a day, I find, I can't do tonight, I'll post around 3 or 4 o'clock on the Discord. That's never happened. I'll usually tell you in advance, but check the Discord until I get more subscribes on YouTube, and then I can just tell you there for those people that don't want to go to Discord, which I totally understand. But that's the only responsibility I have, is entertaining you when I entertain you. Just wanted to say that. I love that what we're doing here. I love this community, but there's no, yeah, I don't feel any responsibility on my part to have to do this every day, even though I love doing it with all of you. Okay, so there's that. Let's see, what did you write down for questions? Does Neville deserve a better voice yet? I like the voice. Should we change the voice? I don't know, I kind of like it. Thank you very much. What was your favorite part of this reading? It was definitely the Voldemort Harry scene. Oh man, that was so much fun. And really interesting too. I love when they put opposing characters who have to work together in a room in any kind of play, in any kind of movie or series. Enjoy your company. Thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you very much. The voice is good. We can just enjoy entertaining us. Thank you very much. Any questions or thoughts? If not, yeah, it's getting darker. It's getting darker and darker and darker. And here's a little.
From an idiot, idiot. It's time for John's premonition.
So this book starts out with Harry having so much sass and emotions and angry emotions. And that's what I think the arc of this book is. It's him. I think by next book, he's not going to be that sassy or that emotional as he has been in this book. Because through these lessons with Snape, he's going to learn how to control his emotions. And that's going to help him... Oh, down there. And that's going to help him at the end. Whoever he's fighting against, whether it's Voldemort or another character, at the end, him controlling his emotions is going to be the thing that he's going to have to overcome. So that's the Harry arc in this book, I think. Premonition. They got your quills for the premonition, guys. Snape's just the best teacher. Isn't Snape just the best teacher? No. Yeah, it's dark at this point. The movies aren't premonition. Maybe the best to watch with kids, I think. Oh, okay, cool. I'm looking forward to watching the movies. I definitely am. And looking through this book. Oh yeah, Shira sent something else for Mark, but I'm gonna let Mark debut his present that was included in this whole thing. Okay, friends. Yeah, I really enjoyed. Oh, the mic's way over here. You probably didn't hear me as good, but yeah, this is great being back. I'm happy to be back. Looking forward to tomorrow at 6 p.m. again. We're gonna read. You are loved. You have value when you have meaning. I told myself that, and I had to experience that myself over the last couple of weeks, and it's very valuable, you know, to let yourself know that. Love yourself the same way somebody else, your best friend, would love you, I find. Do you think that the books are too dark for kids to read, since you didn't read as a kid? I don't know, like, it depends, like, etching, you know, whatever into his hand and bleeding from his hand every single time, like, depending, like, what age, that's pretty dark. Pretty dark. Other than that, not really. Not right now. Other than that, no. Thanks, everybody. We will see you tomorrow. Oh, wait. I'm gonna play the intro thing for those that missed out on it. Here's the intro. Here we go. There it is. There it is. Okay. Well, see you tomorrow. I'm gonna play that at the beginning of